Okay. Okay, thanks. This is me speaking like this. It was a little bit loud in the previous game. I don't know compared to the Atmos, but how does that sound to you? Is that okay to you? 1 2 1 2. And Kevin is going to speak like this. Let me just get Kevin's mic kind of there. Good. Okay, Kevin, tell us what you had for breakfast.
Sure. I had some oatmeal, and it was delicious.
Really? Good oatmeal in London?
Yeah, absolutely.
How's Kevin's voice? Is that okay? Good. You're a good man. I don't care what they say about you around here. Hello from Francis Collings at the North Greenwich Arena for this gold medal game of the men's wheelchair basketball. It is Canada against Australia. We've seen that before a couple of times at the Paralympics, where it comes down to these two teams. Last time out, of course, it was the Australians, so they're defending their gold medal. Canada, they want to get back with the likes of Patrick Anderson looking to put one over on rivals like Justin Eveson and Brad Ness on the Australian lineup. Delighted to say that Kevin Barry from Vancouver in Canada, who plays and referees at the highest level of this game, is with us, calling this match with me. And I know you're Canadian, Kevin, but I'm going to ask you, who do you think is going to win this?
It really could be either team's game. There's such good talent on each side, and obviously I'm pulling for Canada a little bit, but it really could go either way.
What is the strength and depth that these respective teams have? I mean, if we take out the equation of, say, Patrick Anderson, who is a superstar player, who seems to be able to do anything, what are the respective merits of Australia and Canada?
Australia, a team that can play with a lot of brute force out there, can really force themselves into the key, very tall, very physical team, with Sean Norris with some great shooting outside, so key midpoint player for Australia. And then same way on Canada, actually. Guys like Joey Johnson are humongous brute force in the key, great rebounders, and then also the strength is midpoint players like Richard Peter and Bo Hedges.
When it comes to strength in depth, who do you think has got the nod, or are we fairly even Stevens?
It's pretty close. I would say right now Canada might have just slightly more depth, but very, very slightly.
And you've been watching them since they started, and of course both teams have got that winning streak that's got them as far as this gold medal game. How have you been impressed by their form so far?
Great. I was able to watch the semifinals yesterday, and both teams showed me that they're capable of winning a gold medal today. Ness was absolutely spectacular, very physical, great job of defense, and Norris down the stretch from the free throw line was also really, really good against USA. And Canada was, again, very strong. Had a very well-balanced game, actually. It wasn't sort of Patrick Anderson stealing the show, but in fact Joey Johnson, who pulled a page out of 2004 and showed that he still has great form.
Tell us about the reaction within Canada when, of course, having been champions in 2000, 2004, you were somewhat upset by the Australians 4 years ago. What was the reaction within the community of this sport?
I mean, obviously we were working hard to get 3 gold medals in a row. It had never been done before, and it was a bit of a shocker to lose, but also kudos to Troy Sachs from Australia, who was absolutely a legend. He got super, super streaky, hit every free throw down the stretch, and it was definitely their game to win, as Troy Sachs showed in 1996 actually as well. He was a clutch player for Australia.
All right, we're about to get underway. It's the gold medal game between Canada and Australia. Joey Johnson and Brad Ness are the men who are going to be competing for that ball early on. It's going to go the Canadian way, and it's already Patrick Anderson, a man who plays his way into games. Always got tremendous influence. Can be a very slightly slow starter. We saw that a couple of games ago.
He can. He does like to get a lot of shots in. He's a volume shooter for sure, but he definitely finds a rhythm, and when he does, he can be deadly. If he does start fast, look out for Australia for sure.
Justin Eveson will bring the ball away after that attempt for the Canadian side by Bo Hedges. Eveson, another veteran of this side. Plenty of players who have been around over the last 2 games, including the veteran Brad Ness, who uses every inch of his experience to put the Australian boys up by 2 early on. How important is it to get momentum early in the game, Kevin?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. Momentum is one of those things that's it's not a statistic, but it's tangible, and you can really feel who's driving the pace, and it's important for either side to get out to a good start.
See more than one situation in this competition where the halftime break has been quite crucial, whereby coaches have got hold of their teams. Certainly in the last match where Great Britain were playing against the United States, came roaring back for a while in the third quarter. I mean, can coaches have that much influence in timeouts and half times?
Definitely they can. Coaches are a tremendous influence on making adjustments. They see things from the sideline the players don't see on the court. But also, especially with teams like Australia and Canada, there's a lot of input from veteran players on those teams, and they work with the coaching staff. It's very collaborative effort to try and make those adjustments. What do you see on the floor? What do you see from the side? Let's find out what works best.
Canada back in touch. Anderson, of course, the man with those points from distance. Australia back on the attack. Justin Eveson getting his name on the scorecard early on. A couple of big units, Eveson and Brad Ness. Solid players, I think you'd call them. I met them a few days ago. They're big men.
That's a bit of an understatement, absolutely. Both of them are large men, as is Joey Johnson from Team Canada. But they'll definitely be in a dogfight in the paint.
All right, Anderson on the move, got Hedges on one side, gonna have a go himself. Well, we saw a bit of a cold arm a couple of games ago, but no sign of that today from Patrick Anderson. Eveson on the move for the Australian side. Sean Norris on the near side. Ness inside the paint, just outside the paint. Norris it is who delivers.
Great hoop from Norris inside there. If you can get your midpoint players scoring in the paint, that's going to be lead to a lot of success.
And I guess as well, when it comes to defense, or you'd say defense, obviously being from North America, if you're keeping your eye on some of the talented players, the Evesons, the Patrick Andersons, you can leave the gaps open for others to come through. It must be a juggling act in defense.
It absolutely is. What you're really trying to do is create class mismatches out there. So if you can get a 4 that can defend a 4.5, or even better, a 3 or a 2.5 that can defend a 4.5, it frees up your 4.5 to go and defend lower point players, and then they can help off of that.
So Canada on the attack. Bo Hedges to Joey Johnson. Plays his basketball in Germany, I understand. More than one player in this tournament playing in away from their native country.
Absolutely. Europe is doing an absolutely fantastic job right now of developing wheelchair basketball worldwide. They have several professional leagues, but Germany is one of the top ones out there. And several of the Canadian and Australian athletes have all played abroad.
But I got to say, the Australians, when it comes to the names of their teams, would take a gold medal if it was for awarded for names. The Perth Wheelcats, the Spinning Bullets of Brisbane. Anderson again for Canada. The Wollongong Roller Hawks of Wollongong, we're very fond of here in this commentary booth.
That is a great name. That absolutely is a great name.
Richard Peter, who you know well, just plays for someone called British Columbia. You need to get a more jazzy name on the end of that. I'm sure there is one.
We do. I think in North America, we're pretty confident with just our provincial names or state names in the United States. But yeah, we should be a little bit more creative. When we have club basketball, we do have some pretty creative names. We actually had an Australian coach for a while, so we called our teams the Dingoes and poke fun at him a little bit. But he's actually watching the broadcast tonight from Australia. He's recently moved back there.
Joey Johnson with that attempt. Yannick Blair in the mix for the Australian team. Sean Norris on the ball. Inside the paint to one of the big men. Brad Ness going close. Anderson will look for Hedges, who tries to make some ground before hitting traffic in the middle, and if not, he'll go alone. How pleased were you within the Canadian setup when Patrick Anderson came back into the fold? Because he took a hiatus for, what was it, 2 years?
Yeah, absolutely. He did take a little bit of a break. Pat's taken a few breaks over his length of time on the national team, but that was sort of the most significant one, to miss a World Championships. And Pat coming back is a huge win for Canada, as he is probably the world's best wheelchair basketball player.
Few would argue with that. Maybe Justin Eveson would like to discuss it at some stage. And but yeah, Patrick Anderson, one of the great names of this sport. And if you dig into his history, as we were doing earlier, quite remarkable. You're telling me that he just missed the cut for Atlanta in '96. How old was he then?
Absolutely. Very young, just turning 17, and he really wanted that pretty badly, but Canada didn't do quite as well at '96 Paralympics, but when he did make the team in 1998, he definitely showed his stuff to the world.
Another of the Canadian veterans, Joey Johnson. He's been around since Sydney in 2000, going close there. Norris on the move for the Australian side, number 7. Brad Ness, one of the big units on this team, looking for Justin Eveson, being mopped up by Bo Hedges.
Right now, Canada doing an excellent job of pushing Australia wide, making it more difficult for their 4.5s to get in the key, and really keeping space, which is making it more difficult to get last-second shots or make pick and rolls. They're all staying sort of very flat and wide on the defense.
Unlike any World Championship game or gold medal game, these are players who know each other really well, I'm presuming.
Absolutely. These guys know each other very well. As you mentioned before, Australia has some great club team names, but Joey Johnson, Patrick Anderson have both played down there, as did several of these guys play on college teams in the United States together. So,
Richard Peter, another of the Canadian veterans, is on. He's the number 7. Bo Hedges taking a breather. And I guess if you got the likes of Richard Peter and Johnson and Anderson and Dave DeRepis as well, who've been around a while, this comes down to the coach juggling his pack and keeping them all fresh the older they get, despite their fitness.
For sure, absolutely. We haven't seen a lot of fouls so far, so that's playing to both teams really well here. They both get to play their game, dictate the pace, and you do have to look to rest your players, but more specifically when they get into foul trouble, you have to really look to rest them.
Tyler Miller inside the paint for the Canadian side. And in the early stages, really nothing between these teams. Passionate crowds watching this wheelchair basketball in London from start to finish. A lot of raucous support for the home team who played earlier today. We should mention as well, Kevin, that for the likes of Jerry Tonello and Beth Etheridge, it's not just the tactics and the formation. They've got to judge the various classifications of the players that take part on these team rosters, because you're classified according to your impairment.
Yeah, absolutely. Each player is given a level of a point value based on their level of disability, and that you see 4.5 level players out there with 2.5 level players. It makes it a very universal game so that all levels of disability can play together and have a valuable role on the floor. You don't just have a team of all your 4.5s. You also have to have good 2.5s, 1s, 1.5s, and the coaches do have to select their teams based on that, not just if you're the best athlete. 14
is the max you can have on your team at any one time on court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something extra for the coaches to think about. Those of us who are bad at mathematics would find that a nightmare, I have to say. Joey Johnson for Canada, 12 all. Just over 3 left in the first quarter. Here comes Anderson. Richard Peter inside the paint. Eveson bringing it away for the Australian side. Sean Norris driving run.
Great back pick by Eveson there, looking to keep the player out and create space for Norris there. So that really does start away from the ball and allows Norris to create that play.
So Richard Peter was the offender. Sean Norris a chance to put his side into the lead. Some players we've seen from the free throws have been absolutely sublime. The pressure mounting later on in the games, of course, but some have been absolutely fabulous. 1 out of 2 there for Sean Norris. He's got 3 points for the day.
Yeah, Norris, a great example of clutch free throw shooting in the U.S. game. USA tried to play the foul game. Australia said, no, we're going to the final. And Norris put it on his back and did really well there. Just clipping the side of the wheel there. This is Richard Peter crossing the path. Basically, the chair rails that you're sitting on have to be in front of the other chair's casters before you can cross in front. And once you do get in front, you have to give that player, at least in the referee's estimation, the time and distance to stop. If you do, no problem. If you don't, foul just like that.
Get the impression 1 or 2 of these players wouldn't mind a bit of wheelchair rugby from some of the fouls we've seen. Maybe some of them play wheelchair rugby as well. I don't know, certainly not at this level.
Unfortunately, no. At wheelchair rugby, you have to have impairment in your upper limbs as well as your lower limbs, but I know a lot of these guys would love to play a little rugby.
Chad Jasmine is on for the Canadian side, number 11. Jerry Johnson is on the bench. David Eng is in as well, the number 15.
Canadian player just touching his equipment to the ground. Can't touch your equipment to the ground and then throw the ball to the side. It's a physical advantage. Physical advantage violation at that point because the ball is loose.
Advice coming in from Jerry Turnello. Doesn't seem at all unhappy with the way things are going so far.
Not unhappy, but noticing that Canada's playing a little bit one side of the play, wants the ball to be swung back and forth a little bit more. Just what that does is really rotates the defense, and then you're hoping to catch a head looking the other way and then make cuts off the backside. And like you said, that is Canada's strength. One of the reasons Patrick gets in the key so often is because he's really good at reading that turn of the head and then accelerating into the hoop.
Voice of Kevin Barry from British Columbia with us, who plays, coaches, and wheelchair basketball and wheelchair rugby as well.
That's right.
You played on the same team as the likes of Patrick Anderson as well?
Patrick, Richard, Bo, a bunch of them, yeah. We play our club level ball together.
Formidable players. Likewise, Justin Eveson. Tristan Knowles, another of the veteran Australian players. Norris on the far side. Yannick Blair getting a lot of attention.
Some great offensive rebounding by Australia here. If they can keep that up, they'll definitely control the pace a little bit more. And I'd like to see low pointers getting in there too and getting the rebounds when they can.
Australia ahead by 3. Everson twisting and turning.
Another great offensive board.
A lot of harrying coming in from the Canadian defenders. Likes of Knowles working very hard to make space. Yeah, time running out, and that's good play by the Canadian defenders because they were denying a lot of space, a lot of opportunities for the Australian attack.
Absolutely, great job to stay on the ball there. It's very mentally fatiguing to have to play defense for that long with that many offensive rebounds. And they did a great job of communicating, which is really the secret of playing at this level for both Australia and Canada, is how great they communicate as teams.
David N getting his first score of the day for Canada, bringing them back within 1 point. Heading towards the end of the first quarter. Yannick Blair taking a breather for the Australian team, and Tish Simmons is on, the number 11 you just saw. Brett Stibner's number 6 as well, just inside the paint, defending on the ball now for Australia, who are going to break away Sean Norris. But there's the hooter for the end of the first quarter, with Australia with that 1 point advantage, as close as we expected it to be. Give us your thoughts on that opening period, Kevin Barry.
Well, all the key contributors are getting involved, and as you said, it's a very close game. Low pointer rebounding by Australia, really doing a fantastic job for them right now, and great screening game and shot making from Patrick Anderson.
Is this game going to come down to the big names, the star names, as indeed a lot of sport at a higher level, whether someone like Eveson or Anderson or Ness can deliver when the pressure is really on? Is that what's going to separate these two sides?
I would think so. I think like you mentioned, in any sport, you really want your best players to excel on the biggest stage. And I think that guys like Ness, Eveson, and Anderson are built to do that. Look for players like Richard Peter and Joey Johnson from Canada as well, and Sean Norris from Australia. All those players will contribute down the stretch, but definitely look hard at Ness and Anderson.
Ben Etheridge giving his team a talking to. Those are the stats which show there's very little in it so far on this occasion. Two teams that know each other so well, and of course met last time out when Australia were victorious in Beijing. So payback is the word that may be on the minds of your Canadian colleagues, Kevin.
I would think so. You can see the stats there. Canada actually shooting a decent percentage, around 47-48%. Australia is shooting a much lower percent here, but Australia is winning the rebounding battle. So they are taking a few more shots and getting those rebounds for themselves, getting another chance to deliver, and that's really what's keeping the game even right now.
And of course, what these fans want is for this game to be as close as this when we're talking about 20 or 30 minutes time, if it can stay within 1 or 2 points. That's what every set of neutral fans would like anyway. Of course, a lot of Australians and Canadians at the North Greenwich Arena watching their side.
I think everybody watching will get their money's worth from this game for sure.
Anderson turning creator Richard Peter on the ball for the Canadian side.
What's really helping Canada here is that Anderson hit some shots early, so now people have to commit to him, jump out and attack him, which is opening up their pick and roll game. You see Chad Jasmine rolling to the hoop, but all the eyes go to Pat, and then you see Richard Peter come in through the back door and grab the rebound. And that's really what you want. As soon as Ness starts hitting the same, you'll see the same thing work for Australia.
Adam Lancer is on the number 9 for the Canadian side. Abdi Dini on the sidelines. That was Lancer at the top of your picture. The aforementioned Anderson getting a lot of attention. Australia will come away. Brett Stibner's driving run. Tristan Knowles Good basket for the Australian side. Bill Latham for the aforementioned Spinning Bullets team of Brisbane.
Yeah, Australia really using their height advantage here and physical play.
I think in terms of Anderson and Lancia and Brad Ness and Eveson, we are seeing a lot of height in this match, possibly more than on other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always looking for tall players, just like able-bodied basketball. Height matters, especially trunk height, though, in wheelchair basketball. You could be 6'1" and I could be 6'1", but if I have a taller trunk, I could be a higher advantage to have on the court.
Likes of Joe Chambers for America, we saw earlier today, another man with a great reach.
Absolutely.
Anderson inside the paint, under pressure. Bill Latham, but it's going to be Tristan Knowles who breaks out of defense. I think about going himself. Lancia, one of those players who plays outside of Canada, plays for Valladolid in the northern part of Spain. Another proud basketball playing country, Spain, of course. Won their playoff earlier today, their 5th and 6th place playoff against Germany.
See an example there on the replay of how great the chair skills are from both players, both matching each other push for push and juke for juke. So they're both doing a fantastic job, both defensively and offensively, to grind against each other and get into the key.
What is interesting as well is that not all of the players who we see playing, and I'm thinking in terms of the likes of the ones I've met, like Justin Eveson and Brad Ness, spend their days in a chair. They walk around like you and I, so their skills, to my mind, in a chair are quite remarkable, given that they aren't doing it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. They work very hard in the chairs, practicing hours and hours to get there and to really be at the same level as somebody with a disability that uses a chair a lot. A lot of the amputees you will see use prosthetics, but some of them do use a day chair in their daily lives as well, just to give their stumps a rest. But yeah, you're right. It's not a natural thing for an amputee necessarily to jump into a chair, but they can play and they can get a lot of athletic freedom from using the chair.
So perhaps a little bit of concern in the Canadian ranks with that 5-point advantage so far to Australia. Anderson, the man to reduce the deficit. Bill Latham for the Australian side. Brett Stibners.
A shot clock violation there. Referee just determined that wasn't 100% sure that Canada would get the rebound. If there's a shot clock violation and you're not sure, you have to blow the whistle and give it to the team that should possess the ball. Otherwise, they just let them go for the rebound and keep playing.
Abdi Dini is on the number 10 for Canada. Chad Jasmine is out. That's Michael Hartnett for Australia. Justin Eveson back on as well for the Australian side, the number 4 here, challenging Jerry Johnson. Anderson on the drive.
That's a great job on Canada's part there. Again, Australia believing that Patrick's a great shooter, jumps out to him. Bo Hedges pick and roll. Patrick sees that Bo's going to have a taller player on him attacking the hoop now. He has a smaller player on him, and he attacks that. Smart foul by Australia, making sure that Patrick doesn't get an easy look at the basket.
One out of 2, 11 points for Patrick Anderson for the day so far. 2-point lead. It's the old guard of Ness and Eveson trying to combine again for the Australian side. Attempt at the three-pointer. Sean Norris it was, just failing with that shot from distance. Tyler Miller to Hedges to Anderson. Ness will feed Norris. Ness to Eveson, has support from Michael Hartnett inside the paint. Good pressure from the Canadian defenders.
Canada will be getting really fatigued here. Australia putting a ton of pressure on them, rotating the ball a lot, making great cuts, and they have such size and physical presence that it's really helping them right now.
Anderson to Jerry Johnson, combative player, always rock steady it seems in situations like that. Hard man to close down is Jerry Johnson.
Absolutely, Ness and Johnson are definitely your points in the paint type guys.
Points in the paint, I like that. Brad Ness plays for the Be Active Perth Wheelcats on the coast in Australia. Bo Hedges plays in the United States.
He does, playing for University of Alabama right now.
I'm wondering as well, when it comes to university games, club games in the major leagues, do players have the experience of raucous, noisy crowds that we're getting here? Or is it only in World Championships and Paralympics?
Really depends where you play right now. The more and more you see European club teams getting huge fan bases. The team that Joey Johnson plays for in Londil, they have a terrific fan base, sometimes getting 1,000 fans out to a game, but still not quite crowds like this. In North America, more typically you'll see 200 to 500 people. Sometimes you're only playing for your friends and family if it's more of a local club game, not a national championship or something like that.
Great experience for all these players, great experience for the crowd as well to see the likes of Patrick Anderson, one of the great names of these Paralympic Games and games gone by, of course.
Canada getting their first shot at an actual easy basket. Australia has been doing a terrific job defensively, again pushing Canada wide and using their physical play, grinding chairs, really keeping that contact.
Canada with 7 points to Australia's 4 in this period. Eveson will go from distance. Ness mopping up. Anderson will bring it away for the Canadian side.
Surprised Ness missing that close to the hoop. He is pretty money from there. And Patrick with an offensive foul. Player gave him the time and distance to stop. He's busy checking his shoulders and whack. See a foul there.
Looks almost a bit of an uneven contest between Patrick Anderson and little Michael Hartnett. Somewhat lower in stature is the Australian number 8, puts himself about a lot.
Yeah, Patrick beat him on the first one. Now he's getting it back on the second one. So they're even Steven again.
21-19, Canada ahead. Jerry Tonello's team doing what's asked of them by their coach.
Australian coach doing a great job here of sending the message that this is a mental game. You're going to get pressure, you're going to give pressure, and it's going to equal out in the end. Stay steady, and we'll keep playing our level of ball. And I think that's exactly right. They are playing a very patient, steady game. They've had some misses, they've had some runs, and really the score is still tied. So he's sending a great message to his players there that the ebb and flow of the game is still working for them.
Sean Norris for the Canadian side, I beg your pardon, the Australian side. Brad Ness, inside ball to Yannick Blair. Back to the big man. Missed one a couple of moments ago, didn't miss that one. Eight points for Brad Ness so far today. Here's another couple of big boys, Richard Peter and Joey Johnson. Richard Peter is possibly the scariest looking player I've seen in the Paralympics, Kevin Bowery.
He's a bit of a monster. His nickname's actually Bear, so yeah, his hands are big enough that if you throw the basketball in his direction, he can just grab it with one hand, so you wouldn't want to go up against him too often.
I'm sure he's a very nice chap.
He is actually one of the sort of wittiest, funniest guys on the team, and really good team guy.
Sean Norris got those last points for the Australian side to give them that 2-point advantage heading towards the end of the second period. It's a game as close as we expected between these two sides who've been in terrific form. And of course, we expected prior to the event that these would be the top two sides. It's come good, or did you expect someone else to come out of the ranks and challenge them?
I was really unsure as to whether the USA would weather the storm and do well. They are a threat as well, and rightly so. They won the bronze medal handily today. But Canada and Australia are the two powerhouses right now, mostly because they have two really physical, tall, talented players, as well as great midpoint players. The USA relies heavily on their midpoint players and their speed game. Joe Chambers is a physical presence as well, but not quite the impactful player that Ness and Anderson are.
The aforementioned Anderson getting 2 points, and Ness as well responding for Australia. Anderson with 15 for the day, Brad Ness 10 points for the day so far. Players we expected to have an impact. We're getting to the stage of the game as well, I imagine, Kevin, where mistakes are going to start counting, especially in the second half.
Yeah, you really have to see where fatigue comes in.
And that's where Joey Johnson from distance, that's where the coaches need to be juggling their pack.
Absolutely. You've seen Anderson on an awful lot lately, and Ness as well. But Australia has been doing a little bit more resting of their 4.5 players.
Eveson it was who was attempting to get on the end of Norris's pass. Minute to go on the clock. Tristan Knowles, another of the veteran players for the Australian side. Played in Athens and Beijing. A lot of experience through both of these teams if we look who's been around since at least 04 for Australia. Eveson and Norris and Knowles and Brad Ness. Experience that allows Eveson to net baskets like that, and as we said before, Dave Durepis and Bo Hedges and Richard Peter. I mean, most of your roster has been around at least 2 games.
Yeah, a good chunk of them have been on the team since 1996, or at least World Championships just following. So they do have a ton of depth. Just at the line here, you saw a free throw with nobody lined up. There was an unsportsmanlike foul. The Australian player was ahead of anybody else and was fouled from behind. It's called a clear path foul, and so therefore they get 2 shots from the line and the ball.
Anderson to bring it away. Inside ball to Johnson in the paint. He's not a flamboyant player, Joey Johnson, but he's very effective.
Absolutely. He's sort of Mr. Right Place, Right Time, has absolutely impeccable chair skills and just efficient. Whereas Pat's a little bit more, plays with a lot more flair.
Yeah, I've rarely seen Johnson make mistakes in the games I've been watching so far. And I guess as well as getting the right players into the right parts of the attack. You know, some players are, what we saw with Johnny Pollock on the British side, renowned from having a go from distance. But Johnson always seems to get the ball just where he needs it and just where he delivers.
Absolutely, and the offense is designed around that as well. One of the strengths of any team is whether or not they have quality low-point players who can shoot from behind the screens. Most teams have really, really talented 4.5 or 3.5 level shooters who end up taking a lot of the shots from behind the screen, but then the pick and rolls get stifled because when somebody jumps the higher point player, the lower point player is now rolling to the basket, much more difficult for them.
Seconds on the clock, so Eveson went for the three-pointer. Nothing between these two teams apart from 1 point to the good in favor of the Australian side. 27-26. Plenty for Ben Etheridge and Jerry Tonello to talk to their teams about during the halftime break. Kevin Bowery is our analyst today. Kevin, give us your views on the first two quarters we've seen so far.
I think both teams have done a really good job on defense, both pushing wide, making it difficult for one another to score. You have seen your superstar players really come through in the crunch in the first half. Maybe it is a bit of a defensive battle right now. The score is not super high. Elite level scoring is sort of in that 20-point range per quarter. Neither team's really doing that, but they're scoring at a decently efficient rate, so it really is the defenses that are shining here.
Okay, well, let's see if that stays the same or changes when we come back for the third quarter in about 15 minutes' time. And stay with us, and we'll talk to you then.
I've been Spacing gets us the good shot, gets us the great shot. Extra pass. Extra pass. Okay? Don't hang on to the ball too long. Right? Patrick, make decisions. Right? Everyone move. Jump. Try to use the jump against them and see if they jump in the middle. If they do, they get shots in the top. Alright? Let's go, Canada! Let's go, Canada!
Happy birthday, Lorraine, from hubby Sergio, but also from us as well, here at Northcote Arena. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's about time to get back to the game. It is a 1-point advantage. Come on now. Who is supporting Canada?
So the second half about to get underway in this gold medal game between Australia and Canada. Australia with the slight 1-point advantage, but this man for Canada, Patrick Anderson, has been having a storming game as expected. Kevin Bowie is with me, who's analysing this game from a neutral perspective, although, of course, I've got to tell you, for reasons of impartiality, he does hail from Canada, but so far we've been happy with your impartiality. Kevin, what can we expect as we get underway in the second half?
I think you can expect a bit of the same. You can see right now Australia is set up really well on defense, pushing Canada wide again. Canada did a great job against Australia as well, doing the same thing. And let's hope to see a little bit more shooting improvement, bringing up the stats just a little bit.
Anderson, Abdi Dimi, Richard Peter is on. Joey Johnson is the number 8, and Tyler Miller making up the 5 for the Canadian team. Justin Eveson and Brad Ness and Sean Norris, Michael Hartnett, Yannick Blair, the 5 on court for the defending champions. This is Eveson. Anderson to bring it away for the Canadian side.
Again, we start off with great defense on both sides, and those are tough looks for both sides, which means it's not necessarily that the offensive percentages are low because they're missing a lot of hoops. They're getting a lot of tough shots.
Anderson under a lot of pressure. Not something that bothers the great man. 17 points for the day. Norris at pace for the Australian side. Brad Ness. Canada to come away. Joey Johnson looking for support, shepherded by Eveson and Hartnett. Anderson outside the paint. Richard Peter with a little feint inside Ness to deliver 2 points to his side.
That's huge when you can have a midpoint player like Richard going up against a 4.5 player, or sorry, a 4-point player that can get some offense generated. That's what you really want to see, is midpoint players taking advantage of their class mismatches or vice versa.
Australia straight back on the scorecard through Sean Norris, who's got 9 points today.
Here Australia, they're shutting for 3 seconds. Canada has been spending a little bit of time in the paint right now, taking the time to cut in, look at the basket, and then pass off. And Australia is saying that that's 3 seconds. The referee's disagreeing right now. We'll see if that changes.
Eveson always moving, looking for his old sparring partner, Ness. Tyler Miller with that last basket for Canada, the number 14.
Here you see one of the sort of softer fouls the referees call, but definitely a foul. You can see Abby sort of leaned in. There was a little bit of a move with the chair, and that sort of affected the balance of the shooter. And that's a foul.
Three-point lead for the Canadian side. Joey Johnson and Anderson and Miller. Abdi Dini looking to increase that lead. Marauding presence on the far side of Anderson. Johnson leaning back in the chair. Does that so well. Norris keen to get Australia back into contention. Eveson taking a tumble. These chairs take quite a battering, it seems.
They do, absolutely. And Anderson there saying that he spun himself. There was a good amount of space between the chairs. Sometimes that happens. From the referee's angle, it looks like there's a dig with the foot plate, and then the guy rotates, but often they're trying to cut and curl so quickly they can put themselves over too. Really, really tough to judge.
Eveson normally so good from that position. 1 out of 2.
See if Australia can heat up when they get to the free throw line. It's a good chance to get your rhythm, and Eveson definitely got his rhythm from there against USA yesterday, and we'll see if he can capitalize again.
Richard Peter to Anderson. Chad Jasmine is on, by the way, for the Canadian side, number 11, replacing Tyler Miller. Tyler Miller, the man with the most interesting haircut, I think, so far I've seen in the basketball.
Absolutely, he's got some interesting looks.
I think it's a go faster haircut. We'll see that when he comes back on. You can see him at the top of your picture on the sidelines at the moment. Conventional haircut, not a conventional player, Patrick Anderson. Racking up the points for his side, 19 for the day so far. Sean Norris plays his basketball in Perth. Back to his skipper, Brad Ness. Norris again, Eveson supporting. Does it alone.
Norris with a clutch basket there. That's a great look for him. Richard and him are very similar in terms of point value, but they're Norris getting the better in the head-to-head matchup there between two of the best 2.5 and Class 3 players in the world.
Well, Richard Peter left wide open to attempt that basket. Sean Norris has got 11 points so far for Australia. Brad Ness with 10 and Justin Eveson with 7.
Unfortunate there for Norris picking up a little bit of a foul there. A little bit, another one of those sort of softer fouls where you feel like you're rolling in slow, but because the back wheels come up a little bit, it shows to the referee that maybe there was a little bit more contact, and then the charge foul gets called.
Sublime play from Patrick Anderson. .21 points for Anderson, taking this game to Australia. Mark of a great player to deliver when it's expected. We see that in all sports. You can have great names, but can they turn it on the big occasion? And Anderson certainly is proving that today.
Absolutely, that's a difference maker all the time. You look for your clutch performers and stuff like that. Australia's had Troy Sachs in the past, doesn't have them anymore. But he's been a clutch performer for sure. Anderson as well with 2 Paralympic gold medals. And yeah, we're definitely seeing a show here tonight.
Voice of Kevin Barry with us on Paralympic Sport TV. You're watching coverage of the final coming live from the North Greenwich Arena on the banks of the River Thames in the eastern part of London, if you know your London geography. Venue that started its life as the Millennium Dome for the Millennium in 2000. Has a commercial name. We don't refer to that commercial name for Olympic and Paralympic reasons, Kevin, so it's now the North Greenwich Arena.
Absolutely. I didn't realize that it had changed from Millennium when I first came, so it was a bit different. When I finally saw it, going to the venue, it was it was like, oh, isn't that Millennium?
Absolutely. That's still what a lot of people here call it. It's known as the Millennium Dome. It is a fabulous venue. We've had NBA basketball there. We've had NHL hockey there. You name it, musician-wise, they've played there. Led Zepp, Elton John, Paul McCartney. J-Lo was playing there soon, I understand.
It's great.
Yeah. Not sure I'll be going. Okay.
Terrific tilting play there from Joey Johnson just to tap the ball away, making it tough for Australia. I love a low shot clock here.
Norris delivering as ever for Australia.
So a great example of Norris looking for the head to turn to Knowles. As soon as he sees that head turn by Miller, accelerates to the hoop, and the give and go happens. That's great play.
Anderson, feinted ball. Sets up Abdi Dimi. 4-point advantage for Canada. And I guess at this stage you don't want anyone to get too far ahead, and that's when pressure can creep in. Desperation.
Absolutely. A game like this, you want to keep runs to a minimum, and they both have been playing tremendous defense so far. We'll see who gets the first sort of momentum swinging basket, be it like sort of a 3 or a big N1 play. That's sort of what I think will break this game open.
When is it players will attempt the 3-pointer generally?
A lot of the time when the defense decides to sag into the paint and you have a really good look with an easy roll and you're in your rhythm, that's when you'll see a lot of 3-point shots. Or the other time you see them is low in the shot clock when it can be really, really tough to score. The 3-point is sort of your last-ditch effort.
Richard Peter getting an awful lot of heat from Norris there.
Tough 3-second call on Richard there. It looked like he got the ball out and out of his hand. Doesn't actually have to touch the rim to qualify as resetting that 3 seconds in the paint versus the shot clock, which does have to hit the rim first. Spectacular basket by Norris.
Fabulous play by Norris. Doesn't stop fighting and trying. Having an inspired game for the Australian side. Another veteran of this team who's been around since Athens in 2004. Tristan Knowles for Australia. Back to Hartnett. Jerry Johnson for the Canadian side to Anderson. Tyler Miller back on. You can see number 14.
Good job by Tyler Miller there in the key. Could have been a foul, but I think the players, when they get away with it like that, like to refer to it as constructive interference. And Tyler doing a great job freeing up Anderson like that.
Tristan Knowles sets himself. Brings Australia back within 2 points. Keeping in touch with this Canadian side. Richard Peter, I think he's got tangled up with Justin Eveson.
Yeah, sometimes the players bump, they tilt up a little bit, and you see there he slides right into the foot plate of Eveson. Quick lift out, the referee will stop the play and give it back to Canada.
Bo Hedges is on for the Canadian side. Richard Peter having disentangled himself on these sidelines. David Eng is on as well. Jerry Johnson taking a rest. It's David Eng starting as he means to go on. Second basket of the day for David Eng. From distance, well, there's one of the three-pointers we were talking about. Tristan Knowles there.
Yeah, there you see Canada choosing to sag off, play a little bit of tight paint defense in their zone matchup. And Knowles taking advantage of that, saying, hey, if you're not going to respect me out here, I'll show you that I am worthy of being respected out here. If he had hit that, that could have been a real momentum changer for them. As now it looks like he is a threat. He can now fake that and create more pick-and-roll opportunities.
Anderson being given a lot of pressure, but slips the ball inside to Hedges, who delivers for Canada. And
there we see a perfect job of the pick-and-roll game with Bo Hedges and Patrick Anderson. And that's what Australia needs to start executing better. Oh, great steal.
Norris giving his all for the Australian side. Having an inspired game is Sean Norris. 17 points to Norris so far today. Anderson's got a few as well. David Eng on the near side. The difference between watching these two teams and others, to my mind, Kevin, is that when they get the chance, they seem to score. They create chances and they deliver. Three-point attempt coming in from the far side.
Absolutely, both teams are typically high percentage teams. They take good looks, they have great systems, they execute those systems, and then they finish around the basket. You'll see a lot of other teams that have similar systems but don't execute to the same fashion and don't have real finish outside and inside. A lot of teams try and pound the ball inside, and that's where they know they're strong in finish. The great teams can really hurt you outside and inside. You have to respect that.
Yeah, it's end-to-end stuff, but it is a 6-point Canadian advantage heading towards the end of the third quarter. Grant Mizens is on for the Australian team. Sean Norris, for all his efforts, is taking a breather. Nick Taylor is in as well. Tristan Knowles on the sidelines. Coaches on both sides mixing it up.
Good move here by Australia to sub out Norris. He's got a few fouls in the game, but has played majority of this quarter without taking another one. 1 minute left to go. Great chance to rest him so he doesn't pick up something near the end of the quarter that you don't want him to pick up. He's going to be key in the fourth quarter.
Ben Ettridge and Jerry Tonello, the two coaches. Justin Everson delivering, as he's done so many times for this Australian side, and they're back within 4 points. Barely 50 on the clock in this quarter. Can Canada take it back to 6? No, they can't. David Eng getting a lot of pressure. Likes of Nick Taylor. Plays for the Wollongong Rollerhawks in Wollongong. There's a name to conjure with.
So he did a great job of that.
Taylor to Brad Ness. Eveson. Taylor again. It's getting a bit static for the Australian side.
And there, the ball's on the ground, similar to the play that happened early to David Ing. Ness reaches down there, the ball's a little bit loose. He bumps into his teammate to secure the ball, and his back wheels come up. That's a physical advantage to be able to pick that up. And so that's the violation version of it. If he had control of the ball, you would have seen that be actually a personal foul.
Seconds on the clock. Taylor looking for Eveson. Thinks about the long one. 3 on the clock. Would have been a good way for his team to go into the turnaround. 46-42. Canada lead, but as we saw in the first 2 quarters as well, again, nothing really in this game at all. Kevin Bowie.
Yeah, for sure. You can see the numbers here. Canada definitely shooting at a little bit better percentage now. 20 points in a quarter, that's elite level scoring, and that's what you really want to see if you're Canada looking forward. But if you're Australia, you have done a great job on defense. You're hanging right in there. If you can keep rebounding at the level you are and use your height advantage, they don't have a ton of fouls picked up now, so they can go with their physical play and keep working hard.
What is the game we expected between the teams we expected, and the crowd are loving it. They've had a couple of good warm-ups today already, with Germany Germany losing to Spain in the playoff of 5th and 6th, and then the United States winning the bronze medal against Great Britain. That was just the hors d'oeuvre for the main course, which is the gold medal game between Canada and Australia. Canada with that 4-point advantage, and the advantage on a couple of stats as well, certainly on the field goal percentage.
Absolutely. Anytime you're shooting around 50%, you're doing extremely well. Canada just needs to do a little bit better job of boxing out and not giving Australia those rebound opportunities that they've been capitalized on.
I know Patrick Anderson scores a lot of points, but he's a terrific creator as well. I mean, the sleight of hand he's got, and the look in one direction, the offload in another direction is great to see.
Absolutely. There you get a little slow-mo shot of some of Patrick's flair moves there. He definitely likes to play the game with a lot of finesse. Definitely a creator as well as an offensive counterpuncher there. Sort of contrary styles to Ness, who's that power player, really likes to bull his way into the key, but is a tremendous finisher when he has to be and use that height advantage.
So we're underway in the final quarter. 4-point advantage to the Canadian side. Gold medal up for grabs, and a reminder, in case you didn't know, that Australia are the defending champions. And who did they beat the gold medal 4 years ago? A certain team called Canada, who have payback on their mind. Eveson running into Dylan Alcott.
Tough one there. Great switch by Brandon Wagner to get in there and play Eveson, but Eveson hitting and lifting his back wheels, then creating that pass, and that's where we see that become a personal foul.
Anderson from distance. Ness to Eveson. Norris back on this side, so influential in this game. Inside ball, Eveson rarely misses those.
Hopefully that'll steady the Australians here. Both teams have come out a little bit ragged after such a great third quarter, but we'll see here.
Anderson it is this time within the paint.
Trading inside hoops there.
Eveson looking for Norris on the move. Bo Hedges and Sean Norris coming together.
Norris pivoting around there and catching his fifth wheel. Sometimes that puts you back a little bit, and then you end up wiping out. Bo Hedges drives underneath him a little bit, creating a bit of a foul.
Joey Johnson back on for David Eng for the Canadian side. Tyler Miller is there as well, number 14. This is number 7 for the Australian team, Sean Norris. 19 points to his name today of his team's 46. Canada still 2 ahead. Hedges to Johnson. Anderson inside the paint, back to Hedges. Anderson being closed down by formidable bulk of Brad Ness, but inside ball. Eveson will bring it away. A rare Canadian foray into Australian territory without scoring. And that's going to delight the Australian bench. Ben Ettridge and Matteo Ferriani and Tom Kyle, because their team are now level after quite a while when they've been 2 and 4 points down to the Canadian side.
Absolutely. Canada getting a little bit away from their typical ball play where they rotate the ball left and right to try and create holes. They're going a little bit too much one-on-one right now, and hopefully they sort of right the ship there and steady up. But great job for Australia to draw even.
It's such a quality game with quality players that if someone does miss a basket, as we saw there when Canada had that foray into the Australian paint, that it's almost a surprise. Other games you see a lot of baskets missed, but we've had end-to-end quality play for the last 10 minutes effectively.
Absolutely, and you are seeing the 2 best teams in the world here, and that's why they're here. They execute at a really, really high level, and there are very few teams in the world that can execute at this level, and especially for as long as these 2 teams have been powerhouses.
Coming down to the last phase of the game as we're heading into with 7 on the clock, fitness and fatigue is going to be certainly a factor. I guess top-level teams are about as fit as each other. So what is going to determine? You were saying earlier that if a team is made to defend heavily against a lot of pressure, that can really wear them out a bit.
Absolutely, you get mentally fatigued when you have to communicate non-stop. As you get tired, the communication is the first thing to break down. Your skills are still there, but if you're not communicating those skills to your teammates, you're not going to be successful in your execution. So that's really what teams can do to frustrate each other, is do a lot of ball rotation, try and dictate the play in your half, and execute when you can.
A lot of Canadian support at the North Greenwich Arena. A lot of imaginative costumes as well for some of your...
Yeah, the Canadian ladies team are definitely representing tonight, all done up and stuff like that.
Yeah, why not? Well, they've done their business, and now they're here to enjoy the Village People and YMCA and Queen and every other song we've heard about 50
Absolutely,
times today.
It is pretty fun in the stadium there. As the announcer likes to put it, it seems get his boogie on down there.
Boogie on down. So we're in a great position, 7 minutes to go, and it's all level at 48 all. The likes of Anderson for Canada and Norris for Australia, showing some great skills. Nothing between these two sides, so will it come down to some great plays? Will it come down to a mistake? Will the pressure tell? Time will tell over the next 6.5 minutes. Who'd be a coach? Who'd be Ben Ettridge or Jerry Tonello when you can't even get out there? You coach as well as play?
I have coached. I've coached at the Canada Games level and coached some of our BC camps. And it's a pleasure to do. I love to coach new wheelchair basketball players, and that's really what both these sides are really good at too. A lot of their players give back to local sport and help build that next generation, and that helps again achieve high performance results as well as development results.
And given the respective ages of these sides and the experience we've spoken about, a lot of players going back as far as Sydney 2000, Brazil in 4 years' time, we could have an entirely fresh-looking roster for a number of teams.
You absolutely could. I'm not sure about Australia, but I am sure about Canada. Has several retirements that are already going to take place. Feature players like Joey Johnson are definitely done with their Paralympic lives and will be moving on to do great things in other aspects of their lives.
Give us an idea of the sort of commitment that someone like Joey Johnson has got to put in to stay on the team at his age.
Well, absolutely. There's great commitment. He actually has his whole family living over with him in Germany. They owned a home there, and that's training 5 days a week, playing games every weekend, traveling around the world, and as well as Team Canada commitments on top of club ball. And that's a very understanding wife and a very supportive family in the Johnson family. His brother is the women's wheelchair basketball national team coach, and their family's extremely involved in the sport in Canada.
Richard Peter scoring for the Canadians, another man who's got a family involved in the sport as well.
Yeah, absolutely. His wife is the assistant coach for the women's wheelchair basketball national team, and they've been together for a really long time, and yeah, they're a great partnership.
Except, of course, if you go home and if your wife is a coach, she's going to tell you exactly what you did wrong as a player that day on the court.
Yeah, I think Marnie tries. Richard is a bit of a stubborn individual, but Marnie makes an effort. And Richard always tries to listen.
Canada ahead by 2 thanks to that Richard Peter basket you just saw. Sean Norris for Australia. Brad Ness, Eveson in the paint. Ness will go himself. Anderson goes long to Joey Johnson.
Good hard foul by Australia there. Unfortunate that the referee judged that it was a clear path foul. Judged that Anderson was completely in front, or Johnson was completely in front. And therefore now Johnson will get 2 free throws and the ball for Canada. Otherwise, smart idea for Norris to foul early to try and save a basket there. Joey terrific in the semifinal from the free throw line, so we'll see if he has the same magic here.
Got 8 points, looking for 9. Sean Norris is just about everywhere you look. He's in attack, he's in defense. He was the man who was leading one attack, and then he was the man at the end committing that foul on Joey Johnson.
So he's definitely a grinder, hustle play guy, and he has the finesse to score. So he's a spectacular player to watch, actually.
Talking of spectacular, Anderson to Richard Peter. Abdi Dinny mopping up for the Canadian side. Johnson, Tyler Miller on the near side. Brad Ness and Hartlett doing the hassling, but Richard Peter has got a good reach as well.
Absolutely great eyes from Joey Johnson to bypass his natural pick and roll and see Richard's one-on-one cut. That's a spectacular play by Canada and a great finish by Richard Peter.
Suddenly a bit of concern at the gap that is creeping into this game between Canada and Australia. 53-48. Australia will want a couple of quick baskets to get back into contention, but they're struggling to make the space at the moment, and they're being blocked off well, the likes of Ness, and that's what pressure does. Johnson fed by Richard Peter. Comes together with Justin Everson.
Smart foul by Everson there, saving the hoop from guaranteed hoop almost for Joey. stuff like that. Canada finally finding their rhythm on defense. They had started sagging a little bit too much in the key and are now rotating extremely well when Australia tries to rotate the ball. So that's great pressure from them.
There's a concerned man, Ben Etheridge, on the Australian bench. Is the pressure getting to Jerry Johnson, I wonder? So good, as you say, in previous games from the free shots.
Absolutely. He was definitely the man on end-to-end, both defense and offense in the semi-final. That led Canada, and spectacular free throw shooting was a big difference in that game. But here, just missing a few, getting rattled, taking a few tough fouls, though, to get there.
Tristan Knowles is on for the Australian side. Number 9 there with Patrick Anderson.
So again, early fouls by Knowles on the entry pass before Patrick gets a chance to set and shoot. Patrick looking for the hoop and the harm there, but really the referee very correct in giving Canada a sideline inbound here. But I guess they are over the limit, so they'll shoot 2.
.26 points so far today for Patrick Anderson, looking to make it 27, but his team have that 4-point advantage with 4 on the clock. Knowles for Australia, twisting and turning and looking for an opening for the likes of Justin Eveson.
Saw that the shooters were all there just trickling in, but Knowles is a good shooter, and sometimes you the time you spend in the gym pays off, and the ball just wants to go down for you.
Agonizing basket for Australia. They're within 2 points. There's not a great deal you can do about it, I guess, when Anderson sets his mind to it like that.
Absolutely. He rotates very quickly, and that's really his strength, is less speed and more quickness. He rotates quickly to the baseline. Knowles adjusts, then rotates quickly back high. Abdi there to set the pick. Patrick almost setting that up on his own, and then creating an open look for himself with no hand in his face.
Sometimes in basketball you get players like the Kobe Bryants and the Shaq O'Neals and the Michael Jordans where the opposition know exactly where he's going to go or what he's going to do, but they can't do anything about it. We've seen that on more than one occasion in this tournament with Anderson.
He is definitely that type of player.
Lionel Messi in football comes to mind. Maradona of years gone by. On their day, unstoppable. But given the talents of Patrick Anderson, it's been a team effort by Australia to stay in touch so far. 4 points in it. Knowles looking for an opening. Norris on the near side.
Again, Australia tough on the offensive boards there. Fortunately not able to capitalize.
The lead is being stretched just at a decisive point with less than 2 minutes on the clock. 6 points ahead is Jerry Tonello's team. 58-52. Guess who's got 30 of them?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a phenomenal shooting display down the stretch by the best player in wheelchair basketball right now. That's what you really want as a coach, to see that your best guy is firing on all cylinders when you have the game in your hands right now. So look for Australia here to really shadow Pat all around the court and see if they can't disrupt that rhythm a little bit. Maybe even throw a little bit of pressure out of this timeout just to see if they can't sort of change just a little bit of the dynamic for Canada.
We haven't seen too many attempts at the three-pointers, but given that Canada are leading by 6 points, do you expect Australia, the likes of Ness and Eveson and Norris, to actually attempt the odd distance, or is that too much of a risk even with 2 minutes on the clock?
With 2 minutes left, you'll start to see them thinking about the three, maybe running it off some set plays if they get some low shot clock timeouts or out-of-bounds plays. But I really expect that with the type of game that it is right now, they'll chip away with 2 points. Those are higher percentage baskets. Although you will see three-point become a weapon in the close quarters there. Little foul there by Richard Peter. Both players approaching the same path. Sometimes it's the one that arrives just a little bit late that gets the call on them. But I think the referee's got it correct there.
Pressure now on Eveson to reduce this deficit.
See how early the communication starts with the players. You can really hear them yelling, like, who's got the inbound, who's got the outlet pass. That's great to see down the stretch when everybody's tired.
Australia within 5. 1:53 to play.
You see veterans like Peter and Johnson and Anderson out there. This is a crew that's been out there since the 1998 World Championship, or 1998 World Championship.
Incredible experience, isn't it?
So very, very experienced side, and definitely comfortable in these sort of situations. Jerry Tonello really going with that type of lineup. Australia now playing the foul game a little bit, I think, just trying to get their fouls up, and now Canada will shoot on every free throw, hoping for misses, get the rebound, outlet it quickly, and try and score in transition. That's really the name of the game here.
A lot of tension on these faces, especially on the Australian side. Abdi Dini looking to stretch that lead to 6. Australia chance to come away. Time running out. Tristan Knowles. Eveson. Knowles setting himself, getting pressure. It's just going to give Canada the chance to break away again.
Knowles really looking to take advantage of a big class mismatch there. Abdi Dini as a 1, and Knowles is a 4. He wasn't able to, unfortunately. Thought really he had a great chance to knock down some points for Australia and bring them closer.
You can hear the Canadians in the crowd when Patrick Anderson scores, especially at such a pivotal time. 6-point lead.
Six-point lead is big right now. They will have 2 big pivotal possessions where now they might be forced to take threes.
Norris played so well for Australia. Each time Australia fail to net a basket, it gives the chance of Anderson to break away. Johnson and Dini with him inside the paint. Lovely dummy.
Tough for Australia there to choose. Who do you choose there, Johnson or Patrick? And yeah, they're both capable of finishing. Pat choosing to pad his stats a little bit, taking on his own.
Yeah. As we were saying earlier, Johnson, a man who can deliver under pressure as well. No one quite like this fella, though.
No, tremendously good with ball fakes and getting Knowles off his feet there. .52 seconds on the clock. 61-59.
53. Norris going for the three-pointer. Back inside to Brad Ness. 61-55. 40 seconds to play. Richard Peter on his own.
We see a 5-hard press by Australia, really trying to pick for the steal there and get some quick, easy points, but Anderson and Johnson able to outlet the ball and to Richard Peter. A smart move for Richard Peter to pull it out and stall time. Australia would have really hoped for a wide open layup there and a chance to have the ball shoot another three.
Seven-point gap. No one ever calls these games, bearing in mind some amazing things we've seen in the past. Clips of 1972 when there was, 2 seconds on the clock in the Olympics between America and the Soviet Union. Disputed time on the clock, and the Soviet Union came back to famously win that game in the last 2 seconds. But, speaking dispassionately, Kevin Barry, 7 points ahead with 30 seconds on the clock. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good for my nation. A lot of these players are close friends of mine. Some of them helped mentor me as an athlete, as a player in wheelchair basketball. Joey Johnson's from my hometown, and he's retiring after this game. So is Richard Peter, who's also a big influence on my life. We're friends and teammates in Vancouver, and stuff like that. And great to see players like my friend Bo Hedges really make a great effort out there, and he's an up-and-coming player for Canada.
It's been a fabulous team performance, fabulous individual performances as well on the Canadian side from the likes of Anderson and Johnson and Hedges. Tristan Knowles is on for the Australian team. Dylan Alcock as well. Nick Taylor's come in. Final throw of the dice from Fred Hetheridge. Second three-point attempt in the last few minutes. Now, had those two both gone in, you might be not smiling as much as you are now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Australia has the eye to shoot that, and they definitely didn't really use it as a weapon this game, but they do have that range, and all these elite teams do, really. If anybody watched the Beijing semifinal, they would have seen Patrick Anderson nail quite a few threes just to keep Canada in it and then send them to the gold in overtimes, several of them.
Pressure throw delivered by one of the most experienced players on the Canadian squad, Richard Peter. Two out of two for him. 10 points for the day. 9-point lead. 3-point attempt from Knowles.
There you see some of that range that they do have.
That's one incredible skill, you've got to say, to be doing that at pace. It's always great to see. The fans love it.
Absolutely, it is. The three-point line can be a great equalizer, and none of the teams really used it today to their advantage, but sometimes those two-point high percentage baskets are the way to go.
Well, it has been a cagey affair, you have to say. I mean, no one's, as you say, extended themselves on that three-point line, but you don't want to run the risk of turning the ball over or putting yourself on the back foot by missing something which you don't necessarily need to go for at that stage.
Absolutely. Kudos go to Australia for sure. They've shown a lot of fortitude in the end. Playing the fouling game, often you can just see the lead grow and grow and grow as teams hit, and Canada has hit. But Australia's come back and and also hit the baskets they need to make to keep it even and keep playing the foul game successfully. So Australia is doing a great job and has all game. Defensively, they were strong. Offensively, just a little bit lower shooting percentage than Canada, and that's shown to be the difference right now.
Patrick Anderson will just play keep ball. They know exactly what's going to happen. The crowd knows what's going to happen, and so do the Australian players as well. Done and dusted by 64 points to 58. Delight on the Canadian side. Regaining their Paralympic gold medal that they lost 4 years ago, and gaining revenge over this Australian side. And a few tears, I think, in the eyes of the coach, Jerry Tonello there. Emotive time.
Absolutely. Jerry has been coaching this team for a really long time. He was their assistant since Sydney and took over the coaching reins just in Beijing there. And it's been a long time coming for him to get that victory as a head coach, I think. And he definitely deserves it. He pours in tons of hours in wheelchair basketball.
And I guess if you're a head coach and you lose a gold medal when you're expected to, as they did 4 years ago, then it really means a lot to him to come back and prove himself as the top man here.
Absolutely, a little redemption.
Redemption and payback for Tonello and for the Canadian side. Jerry Johnson, Patrick Anderson, and those are the scores. And you can see it was only really up until the third quarter where Canada started to turn the screw with that 5-point advantage in the third quarter. Apart from that, it was effectively even Stevens, very small margins between these sides until that third quarter. We were talking earlier, Kevin, about the difference that the halftime break can make, and it seemed to work better for the Canadian side than for the Australian side, given that third quarter score.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Canada did an excellent job of adjusting and getting better looks. They actually brought their defense in a little bit, noticing that the shooting percentage probably wasn't as good for Australia, and capitalized on getting better on the rebounding statistics.
So disappointment for the silver medal winning Australians, but it's been a fabulous event for them. Team packed with big names and experience, and also some youth in the ranks as well. And I guess any team going into a major championship needs the blend of experience and star names, but also youthful vigor to build for the future, to regenerate. Quite a few players we're going to see back again in 4 years' time on both sides. Quite a few we're saying goodbye to.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need that balance, and I think that's one of the things that maybe Canada was missing a little bit in Beijing. They had a ton of veteran talent, but not as much youth to sort of add some vibrancy to those veteran players. And this time around, they have a great mix of some young players that are super passionate and drive the passion to come back for a lot of veteran players. So that's great to see. And for Australia, similarly, they have a lot of talent and a lot of height, a lot of depth at the 4 and 4.5 category. We're able to really roll their lineups, and that'll help build experience too, because you get those people in the pressure situation in a gold medal game, and maybe they'll make adjustments for the next gold medal game they play in.
Just running my eye down some of the ages of some of the players. You mentioned that Richard Peter's going to stand down. I think he's the oldest player we've seen today. Yvonne Rouliard didn't come on. We saw him in the semi-finals, of course. Brad Ness.
We stayed together. It makes me proud to call myself a roller. It makes me proud to be next to you. Win or lose, I'm proud to be among you boys. Thank you so much for the last 4 years. Beautiful. Thank you.
Justin Eveson, I hope to see him in 4 years' time.
And there you see Justin Eveson making a great point. They worked together as a team, and they did a great job. When you leave everything out on the court, win or lose, you absolutely feel like you gave it your best effort.
You gave it your all.
You can't feel disappointed with your silver. You earned your silver medal, and that's what Australia did tonight.
You couldn't really look at this Australian side and this performance and say there was any failing there in this final. Is it too simplistic to say the difference was this man?
Maybe Pat has something to do with it. Australia maybe needs to look at a little bit more shooting practice. They're their shot making wasn't quite as good percentage-wise as Canada, and that was really the factor there. Norris definitely stepped up just as well as Patrick Anderson did. It just wasn't quite enough when you didn't have Ness firing on all cylinders. He's really a difference maker, as is Eveson, and neither one of those high-point players really had the same impact as Anderson did on the game, and as well as Joey Johnson.
Yeah, Sean Norris with 19, Justin Eveson with 16, the top scorers for the Australian side, but the difference was the likes of Anderson, who weighed in with 34. Richard Peter got 8, Richard Peter with 10, Joey Johnson with 8, David Eng with 6. Anderson leading the way by a long shot as the top scorer in this game. Feeling he's had a few times before winning a major championship. Must be nice though to do it after losing last time, getting silver last time. Then he took some well-publicised time out from the game, and he's back and as good as ever. Or is he as good as ever?
He's definitely showing that he's as good as ever. One of the huge things to respect about Pat is that he did a ton of this training on his own. He's living in New York while the rest of the team are training in pods or traveling around the world, and he's in a gym by himself shooting thousands and thousands of shots. Pat's also a bit of a philosopher in his spare time. Really likes to analyze the sort of his impact on the game and where he can make improvements and what sort of ability he can have and bring and generate like fan support and build the game of wheelchair basketball. So he definitely took that 2 years to explore himself a little bit, and really invigorated him to come back and be the amazing player that you saw tonight in the gold medal game.
So Anderson is, he's what, about 33, I think?
Yeah, 32, 33.
I mean, conceivably, given some of the ages of some players, the Brad Ness and the Joey Johnson, the Richard Peter, we could see Anderson, if his momentum stays the same and his commitment stays the same, for the next 2 Paralympic Games.
Absolutely. He's definitely newly married last summer, so we'll see how long he takes to sort of get into family life and stuff like that. But I think definitely Rio for sure is a great possibility for Pat. He's still performing at an elite level, and he has a lot of passion for the game.
A lot of passion for music as well, I understand.
Absolutely. Great musician, great vocalist. Pat's sort of your all-around superhero, I guess.
Well, he's been putting his tremendous skills on show at one of the great music venues in this city. It's becoming one of the leading venues for music around the world. Just about everyone you could name plays here. It's a place that star quality attracts, and they come no bigger than Patrick Anderson in this game, certainly. Well, let's just have a quick flip through what happened in what's been a stunning final between Australia and Canada. Too close to call going into this game. Too close to call for most of the game. Certainly in the first quarter, Australia ahead by just the 1 point, 15-14. Tristan Knowles, Justin Eveson, the big man for Australia, Brad Ness as well. Even Stevens in the second quarter, 12 apiece. Anderson, though, starting to warm up. $20 points to 15 was the Canadian advantage in the third quarter. Only a 2-point advantage in the fourth quarter, but the hard work had been done. Anderson, of course, with all those 34 points of his own. Norris leading the line for Australia. Wasn't quite good enough today. 64-58, Canada are the gold medalists. Australia going home with the silver this time round. We'll leave you with some pictures and come back and see the medals in a short while. It's been a great day of basketball at the North Greenwich Arena on the banks of the River Thames. We saw earlier today Spain accounting for Germany in the playoff for 5th and 6th. Then a lot of home support, a lot of home passion for Great Britain. They got bronze last time out against the United States. This time it was the United States who beat the home side, despite the raucous efforts of that home crowd at this arena. And then we just had a cracking matchup between Australia and Canada. Canada regaining that Paralympic gold medal that they lost 4 years ago in Beijing to that spirited Australian side. Kevin Barry is with me, who coaches and plays wheelchair basketball in British Columbia. Delighted, no doubt, to see your not only your team but your friends do so well, because hotly fancy going into this event, but to be a great team, you've got to deliver when the expectations are high.
Yeah, absolutely. A team mixed of some quality veterans with young players that have a ton of passion. And I do get the privilege to play against these players at our national championships, and have become friends with them over several camps. And so yeah, some of them are from my hometown or where I live now in Vancouver. And yeah, it's great to see them really perform on the biggest stage and really get what they I can see every day that they work towards in practice. And it's great that the world can see it.
What's interesting as well regarding wheelchair basketball in Canada, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if this happens in other countries, but you yourself have no impairment. You play alongside players who are impaired. You couldn't make the Canadian team in this event because you can't be classified. Is this the same across the world, whereby there's going to be a mix of good ball handling athletes who would like to play wheelchair basketball?
Yeah, absolutely. There are several countries around the world that allow able-bodied inclusion into the sport. In Canada, our viewpoint is really that wheelchair basketball is a sport. Just like if you were going to go in the bobsleigh in the Winter Olympics, you need a bobsled to do it. The Paralympic wheelchair basketball, you need a wheelchair to be able to do it. And that really, in Canada, we really view that as opening up the sport to make it the most inclusive sport in the world. You play with a ton of different disabilities as well as able-bodied athletes. And those able-bodied athletes really gain an appreciation for how much effort the disabled athlete has to go through at each class in order to be successful on the basketball court. It takes a tremendous amount of skill for Class 1, for example, to be able to match up against Class 3 on defense, but they work very hard towards that, and they don't necessarily have as much function as an able-bodied athlete does, but if they can work to this level, they can definitely do that. And also, it gives Canadian players that are disabled, because we have fewer high function level disabled athletes, it allows them more competition. There's more able-bodied people to help support teams in small rural areas and stuff like that, and help build that. Countries like Germany also embrace able-bodied participation. And
that makes for better competition at club level, effectively.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's one Patrick Anderson out there, but little anecdote about Patrick Anderson is that he's from a smaller town in Ontario and has brothers that supported him through his growth and development as a wheelchair basketball athlete, and competed alongside the one or two disabled athletes in his area and helped make a team for him to play on. And now you see Patrick at the Paralympic level competing on this elite playing field.
It's an interesting idea, and I think it's part of the whole growing process of awareness that the Paralympics has done so much to engender. Certainly, I can speak about this country because you see it all the time. Incredible publicity for these games. It's almost comparable to the publicity and the coverage that was going on 4 weeks ago for the London Olympics. And when you hear from the likes of Sir Phil Craven, who's the president of the International Paralympic Committee, it's all about how people are treated in society. And if these players can be seen as pure athletes, as the likes of Eveson and Ness and Anderson are, then it's fabulous. It means that sport has actually broken through another barrier.
Absolutely, and the coverage in Great Britain has been fantastic, as is the webcast around the world. Really hope that the coverage improves in the next games even going forward. In Canada, it's only available on the webcast. We would love to see it live on TV, just like it is here in Great Britain, with this level of crowd support.
There is Sir Phil Craven, who is the president of the International Paralympic Committee, who himself was a fine wheelchair basketball player, loves to play.
And the Right Honourable Stephen Timms, MP, Member of Parliament for East Ham.
Sir Phil actually has a basketball court in his back garden in the north of England. Still plays.
That's awesome.
To the chagrin of his neighbours, I understand. He's out there at all hours, Phil.
Wow.
Played for Great Britain 5 Paralympic Games, did Sir Phil Craven. Team USA had a great tournament. Did so well against some raucous home support earlier today in achieving that bronze against Great Britain.
Absolutely, USA, a great side as well. They have some tremendous people on that team and stuff like that, like Will Waller and Paul Schulte. Some legends of wheelchair basketball, definitely from the U.S. side.
And again, they got big names who play around the world. Josh Turek plays for Getafe in Madrid in Spain. Matt Scott plays for Galatasaray in Turkey. Steve Serio, it's actually his birthday today. Had a fabulous game earlier, did Steve Serio. He's a great player, but it was one of those, as you're probably aware, inspired games where just about everything he did came off. With Anderson, you expect it, but with Steve Serio, even though you know he's a great player, everything he touched turned to gold, or in this case, turned to bronze.
Absolutely, yeah. Serio, fantastic player. Just emerged out of the university program in the United States and is now playing in Germany. Played with Joey Johnson on the Canadian team as well, and so they have some ties there. And just before you saw Paul Schulte, who's actually a lot of the chairs that the guys play in. Paul Schulte is the engineer and designer of those wheelchairs.
And there's a consistency, of course, about these chairs to make sure no one has any advantage mechanically.
Absolutely. There are certain measurements and everything that allow the chair to be competitively legal. The bumper height and maximum height of the chair and stuff like that.
So job well done for the United States. They can afford to relax now after having done the hard yards earlier today against the side that had all the support, Great Britain, but they faced up to the likes of Terry Bywater and Simon Munn and Johnny Pollock to achieve that bronze medal. And for a passionate basketball playing country, important for the USA to do well. Great cheers for the team from the United States with that bronze medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the silver medalist representing Australia. Justin Eveson.
Here come the team who went so close to regaining that gold medal that they won 4 years ago.
Bill Laven. Brent Stibners. Sean Norris.
What a game Sean Norris had with those 19 points.
Michael Hartnett. Tristan Knowles.
Another veteran player for the Aussies, Tristan Knowles.
Yannick Blair.
Yannick Blair looks like he's put in a few hard yards today.
Ty Simmons. Grant Misons. Nick Taylor. And Brad Ness.
Great cheer for Brad Ness, the skipper of the Australian side. Let's hope we see him playing again in 4 years' time and maybe against him. But it's been a fabulous team effort by the Australians, who came so close but not close enough. The essential difference, as we were discussing with Kevin Barry, was the likes of Patrick Anderson for Canada. Eveson gave it his all for the Australian side. Not sure if it's harder to come second when you've actually tasted success at this level. If you've never won it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can get what you're saying.
You know how good it is, and suddenly you're second best again, whereas you've never been gold medal winning team.
Absolutely, and I think I can speak a little bit for the Canadian athletes who got a silver in Beijing. A lot of them stuck around because they wanted redemption, and they were sort of ready to go out, but worked hard for 4 more years, and that takes a lot of commitment because you want it so badly. It definitely is that.
It's a motivating factor through all those hard days of training when there's no glamour and glitz involved, as we're seeing today. There's no flowers being given to you when you're doing the hard yards on a cold day in British Columbia.
I think your heart sinks that day, and then you keep building from there, and that's how you make it through 4 years, and especially when it caps off with a gold medal.
Interesting to see who comes back for this Australian side. Country with a fine sporting tradition, so good at identifying talent for all levels of their elite sport. Slightly going off the ball in the Olympic Games. I have to say, countries like Great Britain have benefited from Australian sporting expertise. A lot of coaches have coached the British sides at various levels of swimming and cycling, notably.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gold medalist and Paralympic champions representing Canada!
So here come the boys who've got the gold medal. Job done for the likes of Joey Johnson and Bo Hedges and Patrick Anderson and Dave DeRepos and Adam Lancia, Abdi Dini, Chad Jasmine, Brandon Wagner, Tyler Miller, David Eng, Yvonne Rouillard making up the Canadian roster.
Bo Hedges! Richard Peter!
Richard Peter standing down. Were you telling us earlier, Kevin?
Joey
Yeah,
Johnson!
he is.
Joey Johnson too.
Yeah, those guys will definitely be missed on the Canadian team.
Adam Lancia!
What a way to go out with a gold medal.
It's always nice to retire on top, absolutely.
Abdi Dini!
Yeah, many a fine sportsman wish they had gone out at the top before coming back for another go.
Chad Jasmine!
Chad Jasmine plays his basketball in Germany as well.
Patrick Anderson!
34 points for the great man today.
Brandon Wagner! Tyler Miller! And David Enger!
More than one player on this roster, Kevin, who's tasted gold before, knows what it's like, but what does it mean for them to actually go back, repeat it, be as good as they were 8 years ago?
Well, I think it means a lot. I think that when you get 2 in a row, you think you're on top of the world. They absolutely crushed the competition in Athens. And then leading into Beijing, a lot of them felt like they had really accomplished something. Then you lose and you get a silver medal, and it really reinvigorates you. And I think that a gold like this is just that much sweeter, especially for the athletes that are retiring. To go out on top, as I said before, it can't help but be a fantastic feeling.
It's the mark of champions to come back from a defeat, no matter what the sport, be it in boxing. Many a great fighter has lost a surprise bout and has come back to face his nemesis. And let's not forget, Canada playing against the team who knew them very well indeed and beat them 4 years ago.
Absolutely. It definitely is a mark of a great team. You always talk about the legendary teams that won a lot, lost something. Those same players came and rebuilt and became just as successful as they were before. And that really is the mark of sort of more legendary team. And I think that this team will sort of go down a little bit.
Ladies
That type of history.
and gentlemen, as is customary, for those who are able, please rise for the national anthem of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, your Paralympic medalists!
Job done for these 3 teams. Bronze medal to the United States of America. Australia, the silver, a reversal of 4 years ago. And Canada, the gold medal. It's been a fabulous event, ever popular at the Paralympics. The wheelchair basketball means the world to players like Yvonne Rouliard. It's been great entertainment. We've loved watching it. We can't wait for it to happen again. Many thanks to Kevin Barry of British Columbia and Canada for being with us and giving us his expertise. Have to tell you that Kevin actually stood up in the commentary booth when the anthem was played, just for the benefit of your friends back home who may be listening, just to know you really are a patriot. But thank you for your impartiality and your unbiased commentary today, Kevin.
Sure, I had a great time. Thank you.
Look forward to doing it again in 4 years' time at this event, but let's just leave you with the pictures of the 3 medalists. Gold for Canada, silver for Australia, and bronze medal for the United States of America. And from Kevin Barry and Francis Collings at the North Greenwich Arena in London, goodbye and thank you for being with us.